Okay, let's get back to practicing our Illustrator. Again, clicking off, clicking on, clicking off, clicking on. That's how you select things. Next thing I want you to do is let's make another object. So we learn about how things are layered. In this case, there is a pull-up menu right here, and if I hold my mouse down over top of the rectangle that we had before, if I choose, I'm going to choose the ellipse tool. Again, I'm just going to hold my mouse down over top of the object and go to the ellipse tool. Once I have the ellipse tool selected, kind of just like I did with the rectangle, I can click and drag, click and drag. Now when I click and drag, you'll notice it makes a object. See how you can go this way or this way. I'm holding the left mouse down to make an object. You notice the color is the same as the other object. The reason why is it was still here. So it'll take whatever last color options that you had and use those for the new object. Now you don't need to leave that. You'll notice that this one has a blue line that goes around it with these dots where this one doesn't. So if I change the color, it's only going to change this one, not this one, because this is the one selected and not this one. So if I wanted to change the rectangle, I would need to use the selection tool and click on the rectangle. You'll notice when I click on the rectangle, it deselects the circle. So I selected a new object and unselected this one. If I wanted to select both of them, I'm going to use the magic key on the keyboard called the Shift key. If I hold the Shift key down and I click on both of them, now it has both of them selected, and if I change the color, it'll change the color of both of them. I'll do that again. Let's click off. Again, if I want to click on one object, I click on it, it is selected. You'll notice the dots going around the outside. If I change the color of it, it'll only change this one because this is the only one selected. I'm going to click off. If I click on this one, I can change the color also. Click off, click off, click on, click off. So I do that a lot. Click to move things around. Click an object, move it around. Click an object to move it around. Again, if you want to select both of them, it's the Shift key on the keyboard and click on another one, and I can select both of them and then change the color. Click off. You'll notice how I do that a lot. I just click off. Usually when I'm done with an object, I'll just click anywhere in a white area that's around the outside just to deselect it so I don't accidentally move it or something like that. Once I click on an object, I can then again change the size of it and things like that. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to use a different color option. You'll see there's one called color over here. Oh, there, it gives me another way. Wow, that's 3 different places I can change color. The color pop-up menu, the option key up here, and the color swatch down here. They all do pretty much the same thing. So you're just going to have to get used to Illustrator doing the same thing in multiple places. Okay, let's talk about having things overlapping each other. In this case, Illustrator, again, works by putting things, objects, and then those objects will be layered. Okay, just like, again, when I was a kid and I used to use construction paper, I would cut it out with scissors and glue different shapes over top of each other to make an object, and that's sort of how Illustrator works. In this case, if I take the blue circle here and drag it over top of my rectangle, let's see what happens. Oh, you'll notice it covers part of it up. The reason why is the blue circle is over the red rectangle. Okay, the reason why is because I made the blue circle after the red rectangle. So Illustrator, as you make objects, it puts a new one over top of the other one. Let's make another rectangle. So if I click on my mouse here and go to the rectangle tool, I can then draw a rectangle. Notice how it's the same color. The reason why it's the same color as the blue circle is because that's the last color I had selected. If I want to change the color, you notice it's still blue around the outside, but the circle is not selected. How do I know that the new rectangle I just drew is selected and the blue is not? There is a blue line that goes around the outside. See it with the dots, with the dot in the middle? If I click on the color swatch, it'll show up. Okay, if you don't see this color option that I have coming up right now, it's under Window, Color. Window, Color. It automatically popped up when I started drawing things. Window, all these options are a whole bunch of menus. Don't open them all up at once. Woo, it gets awful messy. Okay, so let's use the black arrow. Again, you'll notice when I'm done with making something, I always go back to the black arrow. You have to get used to it. If you leave, let's say, the rectangle tool selected and I come over here and say, oh, I want to move this, and I try to move it, it makes a new rectangle. I'm like, I really wanted to move that. I did not want to make a new rectangle. So how can we undo? What undo is that you can, you make a mistake, you go back in time to before you made the mistake. That's what an undo is. Now there is keyboard commands for doing undo, and there's also a menu item for doing undo. If you go up under edit, you'll notice the first one says undo rectangle or Control Z. When I learned how to do this back in 1988, I was just like, wow, I can undo a bad thing that I did. Wow. Amazing. So I can go underneath edit, undo rectangle, and it goes away, and I'm back to where I was before I drew that. So remember, when I'm done making something, always try and go back to the black arrow. I'm used to doing that all the time, so you might see me doing it kind of quickly and stuff like that. I try to apologize, try and keep going back there. So let's talk about ordering things. Again, the rectangle here is over top of the circle because I made it after I made the circle, as well as I made the red rectangle first. So we got red, blue, and yellow. Let's talk about selecting. Remember we were selecting, and I said the shift key will select all of the objects that you click on. Well, they do. If I want to select the yellow rectangle, hold down the shift key, click on the blue circle. If I want to hold down the shift key, red one, and it selects them all. Let's talk about a faster way of doing that. Instead of doing that, let's deselect again outside the area. To select them all, I'm going to use draw a box. What do you mean by draw a box? Well, I'm going to use my mouse here, and I'm going to click and hold the left mouse down, and I'm going to drag over top of all of them. And it selects them all. How did it do that? I don't know, but it does. So if I click off, if I draw a box, let's say around just the red one, it'll only select the red one. Or if I click and hold the left mouse down and draw a box over the red and blue one, it only selects those. If I click and hold the mouse down red, blue, and yellow, it selects all of them. Okay, if I want to deselect one, let's say I have the red, blue, yellow all selected together, but I don't want the blue one. The magic shift key comes in again. If I hold the shift key down and click on the blue circle, it actually deselects that. And you're saying, well, I can't tell if it did it or not because there's still a blue rectangle around them. Let's move away and let's see. Oh, did you see that? Okay, so the shift key is a great way that you can deselect and select things. Let's practice that for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to click on the red one, hold the shift key down, click on the blue one, hold the shift key down, click on the yellow one. Okay. Oh, I want to deselect the red one. Keep holding the shift key down, click on the red one. Now I only have these ones. Okay, so that is a very useful feature of the shift key and the black selection tool, being able to select things and deselect things. That takes a lot of practice and time. So get used to that. Let's talk about reordering things. You're not stuck with the order that I made things in. No, you can actually reorder. What if I wanted the blue circle to be over top of the red and yellow one? Well, in this case, there is a reorder feature inside of Illustrator. Almost said Dreamweaver. Illustrator. If I go underneath the object mode, object pull-down menu here, you'll notice there's one called Arrange. And under Arrange, you'll see there's a whole bunch of different features here. You see one that says bring to front, bring forward, send to backward, send to back. Okay, bring to front says it bring everything all the way up to the very front. Bring forward brings one level up. Send backwards sends one level back. Send to back sends it all the way to the back. So let's just try some. If we wanted the blue to be on top, I could say either one of these will bring it forward, because if I say bring forward, it'll bring it in front of the yellow one. Watch. There it is. If I wanted to send it back but keep it in front of the red one, it's under Object, Arrange, Send Backwards. It'll go back to where it was. If I want it to be all the way into the very back, I go under Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Okay, so you can reorder objects very quickly by using the Object Arrange feature, and there is control keys for that, or command keys on Mac if you're a Mac person. Okay, so reordering objects, selecting objects is primarily what you really do a lot of inside of Illustrator. Okay, a lot of things like that. You see how I'm just clicking off and on and off and on. There's not too much right clicking involved in this one. Doesn't really help you very much in there. Okay, let's talk about making perfect stuff. Let's talk about deleting things too. How about that? I don't want the yellow rectangle anymore. How do I get rid of it? Oh, hit the backspace key or delete key on the Mac. Don't want the red one. Here, hit backspace. It's gone. Don't want the circle. Backspace. It's gone. So hitting the delete key will delete an object. Okay, let's make some more objects and practice making perfect objects, like a perfect square, perfect circle, perfect everything. So if I use the rectangle tool again, and I come over to the screen, let me practice again. Remember the magic key to select multiple things was the shift key? Well, it's also the magic tool to make things perfect. In this case, if I hold the shift key down while I have the rectangle tool selected, and I click and drag, it'll constrain it to a perfect rectangle. You notice it starts growing from where I clicked on it. Did you see that? As I'm growing, it's growing, growing, growing from where I clicked on it. Okay, let's hit delete. Okay, so that's a common way of drawing things. What if I wanted it to grow from where I clicked on it, okay, and not from the top or top down? I wanted it to grow from center out. So this time I'm going to hold down the shift key and the alt key, and if I click and drag now, you'll notice it makes it bigger. Now the alt key is the actual option key on a Mac, so keep that in mind. So this time I'm making a perfect square by holding down the shift key and the alt key, and it'll make a perfect square. Wow, amazing. Always go back to the black arrow. Okay, so I have one rectangle, perfect square. Okay, what if I want to duplicate? Okay, I duplicate things all the time inside of Illustrator, all the time. How about we pause this movie and we'll come back and I will show you how to duplicate.